And we have Christina Ramos and Tina Turner.
So excited to see so many names on the screen. I'm Christina Ramos. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for the Antelope Valley Union High School District. And I'm here today with our credential analyst, Tina Turner, who really is going to do the bulk of our presentation and talk about all of the different ways that the high school district can help you become a credential teacher for us. We have so many opportunities throughout the district. We have a dependent charter, so we can start as teachers as young as 6th grade and then all the way through high school. Mostly single subject teachers, but we have a heavy investment in career technical education. And so if you're joining us with prior work experience in specific CTE areas, there may be an opportunity for you to jump on with us as well. So I won't take away all the thunder. Tina is the expert in this area. She is the creative problem solver to someone who says, I want to be a teacher. Here's what I have. What can we do? So I'm going to turn it over to her, but I'll be available for any questions when we get to the end of the presentation. So thank you all for being here.
Hello, guys. So I'm going to talk about the different ways that you can get credentialed. We have several pathways. I would say that you're probably most familiar with the need for basic skills through the CBEST, which is the California Basic Skills Examination Test. And this is where we have to qualify that you have reading, writing, and math basic skills to be able to be a teacher in the classroom. The basic skills is the first step. In the past, you had to have a CBEST, passing CBEST to qualify, but now we have different options to meet those requirements. So of course, passing the CBEST, there is a reading, writing, and math portion. A minimum score of 41 in any one of the areas will qualify you for passing that one specific area. However, a cumulative total of 123 will be considered passing. So let's say you score really high in reading and writing, not so great in math, you can still be considered to pass the CBEST. I believe there's options now to take it online from the comfort of your home. So it's fairly inexpensive, probably the quickest way to get your basic skills passed. However, they do allow us to use other options. So you can pass the CSET, which is the subject competency test, and they have multiple subjects plus the writing skills exam. So I think it's 4 tests altogether that you would have to pass. And then if you have early assessment into a CSU or a placement exam, those can also qualify you. You have to have a certain scorecard on that. ACT, SAT scores can also be qualifying. It depends on what year you took the SAT. It's a little different between year to year. And then, of course, if you have any college advanced placement exams, we can count those as well. Sometimes basic skills from other states will work. Sometimes they don't count them here. I don't know why, but you need your basic skills. That's your first step. So if you are wanting to be a substitute teacher, you have to have that basic skills. If you want to be a teacher, you also have to have that. So talking about substitute teaching, that's a great way to get into the school system. That's a great way to get known at the sites. It's a good way to figure out what grade level you might be interested in teaching. It's a good way to figure out, do you even like to be with children during the day? So basic steps to becoming a substitute teacher is we have to prove that you have basic skills requirements met, and you have to have a bachelor's degree. It does not matter what the bachelor's degree is in. It just has to be from an accredited college or university. A 30-day sub permit is something that you can apply for it on your own if you meet the requirements, but it's usually best to go through a school district, try to get employed as a sub, and then they will actually recommend you to the CTC, which is the California Commission on Teaching Credentials. And they'll give you a permit that allows you to sub in a classroom for a teacher who's out on leave for up to 30 days. So that's why it's called a 30-day sub permit. Now, I will say if you were subbing in a special education classroom, you're limited to 20 days. So that doesn't mean 30 days in the whole year. That means that you can sub for a 30-day time frame with one teacher. You could sub every day of the year. But in order for you to remain under the 30-day sub permit, one teacher, no more than 30 days, because then you would become the teacher of record, and we can't have that. So one of the ways to get your actual credential is the traditional pathway. You do a bachelor's degree program, and then you can, sometimes they're blended in and you can get a credential within that bachelor's degree. And at the end of all of your requirements being met, you're issued a preliminary credential. So this is where you would complete all of the requirements, and then you're able to student teach in a classroom for free. And you complete your requirements for the student teaching. The university considers you having met every requirement, and they will award you a preliminary credential. And you're considered fully credentialed at that time, and then you would have to go through a special induction program to clear it, which we'll talk about in a little bit. However, not everybody can afford to do the traditional route. Working for 18 weeks unpaid is hard. If you've already working somewhere, you'd have to, quit to be able to fulfill that. So we do have the ability now, because we are in a teacher shortage in California, to hire pre-interns. Now, this is an individual who may just have a bachelor's degree, met the basic skills. Maybe they were a sub. They haven't quite enrolled into a credential program. And we look at their transcripts and review. You have to have certain criteria met to qualify for a pre-internship. But the most basic one is a PIP, provisional internship permit. It is good for 1 year. So if you got it in October of 2022, it would be good to October of 2023. It's not renewable, but sometimes if you're not at the next step to move on to the different credential, which is an intern credential for your university, we can transition you to something called a short-term staff permit. We call it a STIP. However, if you are trying to get qualified for the PIP and you've already passed CSETs, or you have a bachelor's degree that is in an area that is considered a single subject or a multiple subject liberal arts degree, then your subject matter will have been considered to be met and you are not eligible for the PIP. You would actually have to be placed onto a short-term staff permit. PIPs do have some steps you have to go through. We have to have board approval allowing us to hire someone on a pre-intern permit, because they're not, fully highly qualified teachers. It is a short interim to getting you to the credential that will allow you to be the teacher of record with a full credential. So a short-term staff permit, those are for someone who has already met subject matter competency, or maybe they were on a PIP the last year. They will issue you a short-term staff permit as long as you meet the requirements up until the end of a school year. So if you got it October 2022, it is going to expire June 30th, 2023, and there's nothing that is beyond that other than an intern credential. An intern credential is through your university. So your goal through this whole process, if you're not doing the traditional route, is to become intern eligible. The CTC does deem an intern credential a credential. It is good for 2 years, and it allows you to get to student teach, work in a classroom. So does the PIP and the STIP as well. It allows you to work in the classroom as a teacher and get paid, as opposed to doing the traditional student teaching for free. So these are goals to get you into the classroom as the teacher of record while you work through the actual credential process. So we love when we see intern ready, intern eligible students from their universities applying to our jobs, because we are able to hire them really with no problems. Having an intern credential through university usually means you're at the point where you're ready to student teach. You just haven't done those 18 weeks or however long they require for their program. You will have met subject matter competency to be able to qualify. Basic skills, of course, have your bachelor's degree. And it is valid for 2 years, as I said, but it is not renewable. So at the end of the intern credential program, when you're finished, you would be awarded a preliminary credential. And at that point, you would be caught up with the person who went the traditional route. And finally, after the intern credential, you would move on to that preliminary. A preliminary credential means that you have mastered everything that the universities require of you, and you are now eligible to teach in a classroom as a fully credentialed teacher. The recommendation is submitted through the university for this credential. The PIPs and the STIPs, they're submitted by the district that hires you, and they would actually be the owners of the authorizers of that credential. A preliminary credential is good for 5 years, and you cannot renew it. However, you can clear your credential by completing a 2-year induction program through the district that you were hired. So it's usually a free program. Most districts have them in-house. And what they do is just kind of help you hone the skills to become a master teacher or highly qualified teacher. And at that point, you are issued a clear credential. You have crossed the finish line. You are finished with having to do any schooling to, complete your credential or take any exams. And all you have to do is renew it every 5 years, paying a fee. You can do it all online. And as of right now, we have several openings. Christina, I don't know if you want to talk more about this, but we are in high need of special education teachers and several single subject. We still need school nurses, and we are always looking for subs.
Yes, right now when I left the office on Thursday, I think we still had 44 open positions. And so most of those are staffed with long-term subs that have been assigned, individuals that are some working towards their credential, but some who are just fulfilling those roles as subs. We have a current posting on EdJoin. I think link in the slide. But right now, as applications are coming in, our team is reviewing them, determining if we are able to offer a credential to those individuals, and then having the site interview to see if it's a match at the site, and then processing teachers as we go throughout the year. Probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to pull our posting down off of EdJoin. And then we're going to gear back up towards the end of October to do another big push for the second semester hiring. So if you're not quite ready yet, but you think you're going to be ready in January, I would encourage you to look for that late October posting and get your application in so that we can meet you and get you in front of an interview team to determine if there's a position for you at any of our schools.
Yes, and at that time, we'll also review to see if you're not credentialed, if you would fit into one of those pre-intern or intern credentials.
And I just want to highlight our clear credential program, our induction program is pretty intense through our district. We have a significant amount of supports that are available through induction, a great of school leaders and instructional leaders that really wrap around first-year teachers, second-year teachers. We even have a structure for those that are in that pre-intern program. And so coming over to the high school district, you're not going to be left alone to a classroom and able to make it work. You're going to have extensive supports beyond just what's available with your own school team at the district level. So I might go into that a little bit more if you have questions on that. Just wanted to highlight what a fantastic program we have for new teachers.
They are wonderful, and they're easily accessed as well. So they're always checking in, and they're available almost all the time. So EdJoin is where our applications are located for any openings that we currently have. I think right now, Christina, we have one that's just a gen ed open. It doesn't specify, which subject. So if you're interested, go ahead and apply, and we'll review your application and make sure that we can credential you and get you an interview. At this point, does anyone have any questions?
One question. I think in the beginning, if I heard it right or probably heard it wrong, are you guys hiring only people with one single or also multiple credentials?
For a multiple subject, we do have a 6th grade classroom that we sometimes can hire in. I think we might have just filled our multiple subject, or we're right in the process of it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
So I kind of have a question. So I just finished my master's and credentials program this May, but haven't cleared off credentials just because I haven't passed the CSET and the CBEST yet. I know that there's some subjects that the only part that I would be required to take would be the written part, because I am a second language learner. I struggled and didn't pass on the first time the writing and reading part. So I'm waiting on those things. Would I be able to apply for a position while I clear off and pass my exams?
That's a great question. What are you hoping to teach?
I did multiple subjects and basically any grade.
Okay, so multiple subject credential. When you graduated, what was your bachelor's degree in?
Liberal studies.
So liberal studies means that you've met subject matter competency. So if all you're waiting for is CSETs, they should be able to review your academic degree and should be able to it's waiving, but it's not waiving. It's saying that you met subject matter competency through your liberal studies degree if you're going into a special education field. Teachers that are teaching special ed, if they have a liberal studies degree, they do not need to take the CSETs. If they've just passed something last year that if they have a single subject bachelor's degree or a master's degree in a field that is issued a credential, so we issue single subject English credentials. Let's say you have a bachelor's degree in English, you will have been considered to meet subject matter competency for English. So if you have a liberal studies, you've met subject matter. So are they telling you still need CSETs?
Yeah, so credentials in my current school, previous school was telling me I still needed CSETs and CBEST.
So I can, if you want, you can reach out to me and through email, and I can give you the coded correspondence from the CTC that says that you have met it if you have a bachelor's in liberal studies.
Okay, sounds perfect.
And you can show that to the university. Which university is it, if you don't mind?
USC.
Okay, so they may not be completely familiar with them, with the rules. I know some of the local ones like Brandman and C-Sub, they're pretty familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And my email is tturner, avhsd.org. But it is important that sometimes the universities aren't aware of the newer correspondences that have come out from the CTC. So it's always good to check with different credential analysts to see if there's anything new that's happened. You can also email the CTC. It takes them a while to respond, but you could ask a question like that, like, hey, I have my liberal studies degree. Does that count for subject matter competency? You get that in writing, you take that to your university, and then they usually can get you set up with the next step.
I'm going to put the information about the CBEST workshops in the chat. I know that this requirement has been substituted with the class, either math class and writing class and reading class, right? But sometimes it's still more convenient to just take the CBEST, especially when you want to be a substitute teacher.
Sometimes it's more convenient. I agree with you. It's fairly cheap, but if you have gone to like a junior college, typically you've had to take the basic reading, writing, and math that counts. And we can count philosophy for reading, critical thinking, rhetoric. There's so many different things that qualify now for meeting basic skills. So it is fairly easy to have your transcripts reviewed by a credential analyst, and they can tell you whether or not you've met it. But however, if you have not met, let's say you've met it, you have a reading that qualifies and you have a writing that qualifies, but you don't have a math, sometimes it's easier to take the entire CBEST and get that cumulative score of 123 rather than just taking the math.
So you can take only one part and don't take another part because it meets the requirements.
You can do that. And if you're strong in that field, then I've seen people be successful. So there's a form we can fill out for the CTC showing that the person has met basic skills. And we will put the courses that count, and then also the score that they got on the CBEST. So if they're good in math and they think they can pass it, that's probably the quickest way to get it met. But also SATs and ACTs, we've been using them a lot more lately. They can use, if they've met subject matter through coursework with a reading and writing course, and let's say they did really well on their SAT and math, we can then use just that SAT score as well to clear all three.
I wasn't kidding when I said Tina is our expert in this area. And she will look and evaluate, and if there's a way to find a credential, she will find it for you. So if anyone is kind of just wondering, could I start teaching? Tina would be a great contact for you.
Thank you. I did have success this year. We had a gentleman from Romania who taught in Romania, and I don't know how we did it, but we got him a credential in California, and he did not have to go through more schooling. He has to do induction, but that's about it.
That's awesome. There was one of the questions in other session. Someone was asking if they have a teaching credential from other state or other country, whether they can teach in California, whether it will count here.
Yeah, they do pretty good transitioning another out of state to a California credential. They usually are missing that English learner authorization component. So there's either courses or exams they can take to meet that, but they will issue them the preliminary credential. And let's say they were an educator in another state for 3 years and they were successful and they can prove that through summative evaluations. They will not have to complete our induction program. They may just be told that they need to meet that English learner authorization. So they get 5 years to complete that. And we have ways to help them in the meantime. They can be on an emergency permit that allows them that authorization until they complete those courses or exams.
Jane, would you like us to stay on in case anyone has any questions? I know you're going to have a closing session, but we're a little early. So what would be the best?
We have a closing session at 3:30 and this session is scheduled till 3:25. I'm just waiting for the questions from the audience.
I have a question. Is there a way to get my transcripts reviewed? I actually did take, or I did my degree out of state due to a union benefit, college benefit that my work provided. And right now where I feel stuck is that I don't know how to transfer that out of state associate's degree back into California to try to get into like a university for the like bachelor's and teaching credential. I'm having a hard time getting somebody to like, I guess it's called like articulation or something like that with my transcripts. Like what would be your advice? What route should I take to see what the next step would be?
Typically that is at a university level. So, I mean, we could review them and kind of give you an idea of what would matriculate from there to here or whatever, but it's going to be up to the university what they can count and what they can put in to place from what you have taken from your community, or did you say associate's degree, to be able to start into a program. So I think you have to go through an advisor.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jane, would you have a contact for her through ABC potentially?
Yes, we could definitely do ABC, or she could even try, we could try the C-Sub campus that's at ABC. They should be able to tell her how that would work for a credential, you know, to get into a credential program. Email me, please, and then I will see if I can get you a contact from over at the ABC campus.
At ABC, that would be Tanya McGinnis.
Tanya McGinnis.
Yes, she specifically works with education programs.
Oh.
And she would be the point of contact. Let me find her email address. I have it.
Perfect. I did see a question from Selena regarding which CSET to take to get into C-Sub with a sociology major. Are you around, Selena?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Selena. So unfortunately, sociology is not one of the credentials that are awarded. There's no single subject for sociology. That would fall under a social science credential. If you were wanting to teach elementary school as a multiple subject teacher, you would have to have multiple subject CSETs passed. Some universities will allow you to get your degree evaluated. Usually they give you the form and you have certain courses that you have to try to show that you've taken that meet a requirement for them. And then you submit that to the university, and sometimes they will say, yes, you have met subject matter competency. Now, when we're looking at hiring someone on a pre-intern permit, a lot of the time someone with a sociology degree does have enough coursework that we could place you on a permit for social science, which falls under economics, psychology, history, political science, sociology, anthropology. So we can count any of your courses. You have to have 18 semester units to qualify for a permit in a single subject. So usually sociology major, you have enough. But that would be to begin a pre-intern program. But if you're beyond that and you need CSETs, you'd have to pass, and you're wanting to teach social science. But for do elementary school, you would have to pass your CSETs in liberal studies.
Okay, so I would have to pass all the CSETs because I don't have a liberal studies major.
Yeah, you'd have to do, they're called multiple subject CSETs. You'd have to complete them.
Oh, okay, because when I looked online, there were like dancing, art, those were like the subjects for the CSET. So I just have to enroll for each of those tests.
No, well, there's, I believe, I can't remember, I'm sorry if there's 3 or 4, but yeah, they're combined together. So I think there's a science and math on one. reading and writing one. I can't remember how it plays out in the back of my head right now. Maybe someone from ABC understands it, what they are exactly, but you'd have to take all of those tests and pass them. And then that would be meeting subject matter competence.
Okay, if I email you, can you like, if you're free, can you send me an email of like the ones I would have to take?
I sure can. I can get you a link to where you register to take those as well.
Okay, thank you. I would appreciate that so much.
Sure.
There's a question.
Can she work in class at a private school while working towards a teaching degree?
You sure can if they allow you to work there without a credential. And then the nice thing about private school experiences, after you have so many years in, you can actually apply to be a credentialed teacher without having to go through all of the other requirements that a traditional pathway would take you. So if you can get in with a private school, that's a great route as well.
And then Tina, another question, if my major is in child development, do I have to take the multiple subjects as well or a single subject?
It definitely depends on what you're planning on teaching. So if you're teaching in an elementary setting, then yes, you would need the multiple subject C-sets. If you're teaching special education, either elementary or high school, you would need to show that you've met subject matter competency, either by having a met multiple subject C-sets or have a liberal studies degree or one of the single subject pathways. So the child development degree does not get you a credential. It doesn't fit into one of the single subjects, but there is a early childhood credential that will allow you, sometimes you have to have so many units, and I don't remember how many it is, from child development coursework that can get you that added authorization to work with the younger children, the preschool age children.
If I can ask you are you talking about like our advice as a brand new teacher, what we would give you? Your question says, after all the legwork, tests, and completing the credential program, which we know is a lot, what do you say to a brand new teacher who's on their own?
I am really thinking about switching over. I said earlier in the other courses, the other sessions, that I am a school counselor. Well, not school counselor yet, but I did apply for my credentials. So I passed the CBEST and I have my master's and my bachelor's. So, but my principal is really advocating for me to teach. So this is why I came on today to listen to all the speakers, and I'm hearing so much positive information. It's like I really want to jump to the other side. But at the same time, counseling is my baby. I was a student interventionist for years, and this is what I wanted to do. But now, I mean, there's not too many counselor positions out here. There's a few, but not a lot. So I wanted to go into subbing, but it's like, I'm afraid to I'm good with the kids, but as far as going into an actual classroom and standing up and actually teaching the lesson, that's a whole new different ball game. So what do you say to a brand new teacher who's thinking about, okay, you know what, can I really do this? Can I really handle, I was able to pass the test and everything, but after that, you're spent pretty much, What's the motivation? How do you encourage a brand new teacher?
So I would say if you've made it through all of those hoops, then you're committed to being an educator. And whether that's through counseling or on the counseling side or in the classroom, if you're passionate about the work that you're doing, if your why is to better the lives of children in our community, you're going to be able to get up there and be okay. Having structure in your classroom, bringing joy to your day, getting to know your kids, meeting them where they're at, and being able to drive them forward is so important. But what I found in my years in education is that people who love what they're doing and show up every day and are excited about not only the impact they can make in kids' lives, but their subject matter as well. So whether that's elementary school teachers or single subject teachers, if you love what you're teaching, you're going to bring that enthusiasm to the classroom, and kids are going to see that, feel that, and connect with that. Then it seems like, okay, it's all working. Like you're going to be motivated and fueled by them. And that's going to continue for you to motivate and fuel them. So it becomes this relationship that just continues to grow. I wouldn't lie to you and say that it's just easy, that you just jump in there and everything's great. Those first years of teaching are difficult. You're at home in the evenings trying to reflect on your practice and edit your plans and what could I have done different, or that lesson was a flop, but all of that's okay. we've all been there as we've gone through our journey. And as long as you're reflective on that, then you'll be able to make changes and do better in the next period or the next day. And just being willing to put yourself out there and share your joy and your love of teaching with kids, I think will make you a successful teacher in the classroom, but those same qualities make you a successful counselor at any school site as well.
Thank you.
Tina, this one's for you. In a previous session, I heard you must pass the CBEST in order to become a teacher. Is it possible to be hired with the AV High School District by just passing the CBEST without having a BA yet?
Some of the school districts do participate in something called a prospective sub-permit, where you have to have 90 semester units and have passed the CBEST or met basic skills, and you can qualify for a prospective sub-permit. It still follows the same rules. You cannot teach sub for more than 30 days in a classroom for the same teacher, 20 days if it's special ed, but you're limited to only working 90 days out of a school year, and you're not supposed to go over that 90 days. And if you're subbing at different districts, it's all cumulative. So it's not 90 days at each school. It's a cumulative thing. Not sure how they check it right now, but that is kind of the rule. As of right now, I don't know, Christina, if we do that with this district or not, because I'm not really on the substitute side, but it is possible.
We do not have that program yet. You would have to have your BA at that point. And then, like Tina said, it may not be the CBEST that shows your basic skills. It could be all of those different options, but your BA would be required, or BS. Any final questions for the afternoon?
I'm talking about dual language program and meeting all 3 tests: CSET, CBEST, RECA. So RECA is a test that is for our special education and multiple subject teachers. Our single subject teachers do not have to take the RECA. They would still have to have CBEST and CSET. So a dual language program would likely be just a single subject credential, and you would not need the RECA for that. Did we get everyone?
Yeah, any last questions here? I was just going to say, before we end our session and you head off to the closing session, just want to thank you for your time today and your questions and insight into our district. And hopefully everyone wrote down Tina's email. She will be a great resource, and we look forward to getting to know you and meeting you and hopefully interviewing you and onboarding you to become a member of our team over at the high school district. And I'll drop my email in the chat as well, and be happy to answer any questions you might have about working for the high school district and how we can help you navigate your journey. So a beautiful profession, a beautiful career, and just encourage you all to keep going. Our community, our nation needs great teachers. And so stay engaged and stay enthused about the work you're doing, because it truly, truly does matter.
And I wanted to thank Tina and Christina for such an informative session. And thank you for giving your email so people can get their questions answered they might have after the session.
Of course.
And everyone, thank you for attending. I hope to see you at the closing session. We have opportunity drawing at the closing session. And don't forget to fill out the survey. I think that your email goes for the opportunity drawing on that survey. So please fill it out, and I will see you in the next session. Thank you so much, Tina and Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.